Hello friends and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz and today I have two fun gift card holder ideas for you. I'm using some products from Cat Scrappiness because these were giveaways for the winter retreat that I taught in. But the idea here is to teach you a technique. So this piece is 4 1/4 by 2 1/2. I have another that's 3 3/4 by 9 and I've scored it in half at 4 1/2. And that's going to create a gift box card base, if that makes sense. So I'm taking our smaller piece and I scored that in half at 1 1/4 and it just folds over right on top of itself. And I am going to use my bone folder and really crease that down nicely. Then I have this piece that's 3 3/4 by 2 inches. It's the same width as that card base I folded in half. And I am going to add glue on 3 sides. I'm creating a little pocket on the inside to hold our gift card. So you can see the glue there. There's the pocket. And then I'm just going to flip mine around. Obviously you don't need to write on it, but I wanted to make sure I got my measurements right when I was doing the voiceover. And so now I can slide that in and out really easily. We want the smaller piece to be able to slide on and off like the top of a box. So I'm using my pencil to show you where I'm going to put my glue. It's as far to the edges as possible. It is a thin little line. This will hold if you use a good glue. I'm using Barely Art. And then when I go to fold this over and glue it down, I am rubbing towards the outside. So any glue that oozes will ooze out instead of oozing in. This is a snug fit on top of the box, but I want it to be as big as possible and to still fit in an A2 envelope. Okay, so here's my gift card on the inside, and I've decided to stamp a greeting. I'm using the Reindeer Games Sentiments stamp set. This was part of the bundle that was available for the winter retreat. Again, if you don't have this, use whatever you have, right? You can create a sort of gift box, gift card holder probably out of the supplies that you already have. But if you bought the bundle for the retreat, everything that I'm using comes from the bundle. So this says it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Initially, the stamp set was designed to go with some reindeer stamps, but honestly, there's lots of really generic sentiments in there that are just great. To decorate my gift box, I'm using some glitter paper from Cat Scrappiness. It's printed to look like glitter, but there's no actual glitter. There's no mess here. This front piece is 3 3/4 by 4 1/2, and I'm just using my wet glue to adhere that and wiggle it into place. Here's that paper pad. The one that's available now is a little thicker than the one I had. Like there's more pages in it, which is super great. And then on the top of our gift box, this piece is 1 1/4 by 4 1/4. I'm also going to use this silver glitter paper pad. Again, no actual glitter was used in the making of this gift box, so there's no mess. I have 2 pieces that measure 1 inch by 4 1/2 inches and 1 inch by 1 1/4 inches. I'm going to start with the larger piece, and this is going to go straight up and down through the middle of my gift box. And at the very top, I'm making sure I use my finger to kind of smear the glue all the way to the edges. Because that top lid is sliding on and off, I want to make sure I'm not creating catch points or that paper is not going to peel up as I am opening and closing my gift card holder. Then I'm going to slide my little lid on there, and you can see it slides easily as long as you get your glue all the way to the edges, but there isn't a ton of extra room. So that's why we were so careful when we added the glue to the edges. And then I find it's easiest to put this smaller silver piece on with the lid on the box, so I know exactly where it needs to fit. I am using this enormous, gorgeous bow from the Festive Christmas Arrangements die set. I love a giant bow on top of a gift box. This has 3 pieces. I've cut the back from a dark teal, the front from a light teal, and then there's a little piece for the knot on the bow. If you don't have this die set, you could add a bow using a different die set, or you could just use ribbon and add that on the top, and that would work beautifully as well. And so the way that I have sized this means that this is going to fit in an A2 envelope, but I need to make sure my glue only ends up on the part of the bow that overlaps the top of the gift box. Okay, otherwise I'm going to have exposed adhesive behind the top of the bow, or I'm going to end up gluing the whole thing shut, and we don't want this. These are also from Cat Scrappiness. It's the Condensed Numbers set. There are also 2 alpha sets, an uppercase and a lowercase. I have them all. I love them. Part of what I love is that they are narrower than 1 inch. So the letters and numbers are great for big statements, but you can also still fit quite a few letters across the card if your word's a little bit longer. I'm stacking these up. This is a really simple card, and so I was like, well, let's give it a little dimension. You wouldn't have to do that. I'm stacking these 3 deep in the light blue, and then I've used that darker teal, the same dark teal that's behind the bow, and I'm using that as a drop shadow. So here, I'll do it again. I just add wet glue to 2 of the light blue pieces. I pick them up just loosely, and then I use my fingers to wiggle them and make sure they're all in place. And then I like to put my drop shadow kind of down and to the right. And I'm putting the 5 right next to the 2 while I do this to try to make sure I get them about the same. But I'm not real picky about it. Like, it's gonna be fine. So I've got my 25, since that's the big day, and we're gonna adhere that to the front of my card. And I'm just gonna do that again with some wet glue. I like the first one right on that ribbon. Again, the ribbon is 1 inch wide, and so you can really get a sense of how narrow these numbers are. The letters are the same. And then I'm gonna hit that with my aqua shimmer pen just for a little bit of extra sparkle. And once I got that done, I was like, well, we better do the bow too. You could zhuzh this up and you could do a little bit of ink blending on that bow, or you could do an ombre effect on the 25. I know how close we are to Christmas, and I don't know about you, but I'm not ready. I'm not ready. So I wanted to keep this really quick and simple. I hope you'll give this one a try. It's super easy, and I love gift cards for the holidays because to me, a gift card is a promise to spend time together, and that's really the best gift I can give anyone in my family or for my friends. This one I love too. Another gift card holder that you can make probably with the supplies you have. Again, I'm using more cat scrappiness products. This first piece is the Starlight Jewel Remix from Cat Scrappiness. I love all of these sort of cool tones. I have cut out this lavender periwinkle using the double stitched rectangles, the largest one. Then I used the Snowflake Trio die set. These are huge, beautiful snowflakes, and I have 3 of them. So I'm just gonna arrange them on my card and kind of figure out the layout I want. I've used these a few times and I keep coming back to a really similar layout. It's like they were made that way. They probably were. Honestly, they probably were. So this is my trick when I have really fiddly, delicate dies. I'm using a clear sticky mat. I will link everything below, but this sticky mat I think is maybe the best investment of all the supplies I've used. And that will hold all of these snowflakes in place while I add the glue to them. And I don't have little pieces sort of moving around and getting glue everywhere. I'm gonna trim off the excess with my scissors, and then I'm gonna show you why I had to make this card twice. I love my friends and family because somebody's going to get the one that I messed up. But this is the large Merry Christmas word with shadow. And the first time I made it, I wasn't paying enough attention, you guys. So it says Christmas Merry instead of Merry Christmas, but somebody's going to get a great chuckle out of that. I'm still sending it. But I knew that I was giving away this bundle of 6 gift card holders, and I wanted to make sure that whoever won that got one that said Merry Christmas. So I am layering these up. Again, you could totally skip this. This is just something I like to do because I think it's worth it, right? I think that little extra dimension really makes a statement on what is otherwise a very simple card. So I'm stacking up 2 of the Christmases in dark navy and 2 of the Marys in dark navy. It's 100-pound cardstock. So they're almost like chipboard elements at this point. And once I get that done, then we're going to make a drop shadow again. This is one of my favorite things to do when I'm just looking to make something simple a little fancier. So I'll add my glue to the back of the Mary, and this is slightly more challenging than like what we did with the numbers on the gift box. But I just go slowly. I start at one end. I've put a little white cardstock behind it to help me better see where each piece is. And then I pick it up. It's wet glue. So I've got time to wiggle, and I just go one piece at a time. It really isn't very hard. The first time I did this, I was sure I was going to have to do it a couple times to get it right, to figure out how it works. No, it's really just taking your time. So I'll do the same thing with the Christmas. I have saved the tittles from the eyes, and we'll put those on once we get everything onto the card. I find it's just a little easier to work that way. And I'm going to use my same trick here with my sticky mat. Okay, so I'm putting it right in the corner of that lavender cardstock and I will pick the whole thing up. I don't have a ton of tack on this. It is meant to be used for like a Cricut or something like that, if that gives you a sense of the tackiness. Then I'll add my glue onto the backs of my letters and I will just lay it right back down into the same corner. I give it a good press and very carefully peel it off. Ideally, I would let that dry and grab on a little tighter first, but I'm impatient and I don't do that. So just go carefully and make sure that you're pressing everything back down onto the card if it starts to peel up. To create our pop-up gift card holder in the inside, this piece is 5 inches by 10 inches, and I'm going to score at 4 inches, 5 inches, and 6 inches. Okay, super simple. I am using a lighter weight cardstock. This is 65-pound cardstock. Otherwise, it gets a little bulky in there. You could go 80, but I wouldn't really go any more than 80. Here, I'm using my bone folder, and I am going to fold this like a W. Okay, so I have these little 1-inch sections in the middle, and I want those to go together. Those are going to create the little pop-up section. And then these larger flaps are going to end up glued to the card itself. Okay, so you can see it here. I have that little section that pops up in the middle, and I'm going to stick this whole thing inside my card all the way up against the crease. By the time I was done folding and burnishing, I felt like things were just a little uneven on the edges, and so I trimmed that off just to tidy everything up. These are the double stitched ovals, and I am grabbing the largest oval and I'm going to center this and place it almost at that score line, that 4-inch score line. Okay, so I'm centering it. I'm going to tape it into place, and then I will show it to you one more time just so you get a sense of how close that is. If you get too close to that score line, you will regret it later. It just ends up being not as sturdy as you might like. Okay, so I need this little cutout for my gift card. But honestly, if you don't have the double stitched ovals, see what dies you do have. You could use a square or a rectangle. You just need it to be a little bit wider than the gift card. So I have stuck my gift card into that slide, and then I used my pencil to show you where I added my glue. If I were to do this again a third time, let's be clear, a third time, I might go even a little further out to the sides with the glue just to be safe. Otherwise, it can get a little bit tight when you're sliding the gift card in and out. To add this to my card base, I am adding glue all over one of the large flaps, only one. And I'm going to slide this all the way in towards the fold. Okay, I'm going to press and then I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to double check my placement and make sure that looks good. I am burnishing again. The tighter those creases are, the less bulk you will have on your card. So that's why I'm doing that. Then I will open this up and add glue onto the other large panel, and I will fold my card base onto it just to make sure nothing's going to end up wonky. Then I will open it up and make sure that that gift card holder is popping up like it's supposed to. And then you can see you just sort of set your gift card right in there. It holds it, it pops up. It's super fun, right? And it's not hard. Once my pop-up mechanism is in there, I will add my card front to the card base. I wait on this just in case I mess up the pop-up. I feel like I want to start that over. Then I'm not starting the entire card over. I've got some really thin 1mm foam tape on the back of that. And then I added a little bit of wet glue for wiggle room since I've got a very small margin all the way around. And once I get all of that together, then I will add the dot back on the eye. I'm starting with the teal cardstock since that's going to be my drop shadow. And then I just put little dots of glue one at a time, and I pick it up with my little wax pokey tool and I add them onto the top. I use the pokey end if I feel like I get too much glue on there, and I'll just lift off some of the glue. But this for me is the easiest way to try to stack up that dot. So that's my finished card. Again, I'm using Cat Scrappiness products, but you can do something like this with supplies you already have, I'm sure. I would love to know which of these 2 gift card holders is your favorite, and if you'll give these a try. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing so you don't miss more inspiration. I'll see you next time.